Oh, fantastic. Second time we played together in public. That's awesome. Can I grab that chair? So how long have you been playing individually?
I've been playing for 6 years.
6 years?
And I've been playing for 5.
5? And how long have you been playing together? All that time? No. Just a few months. Okay. So many great things, going on. You're both, technically playing really, really well. You're free. You're very relaxed. I think maybe for the purpose of today's session, let's talk about playing together. Okay, so I'm not going to go into individual things at all, but just so that it's interesting for everyone as well, compared to the previous performers. We can talk about what it means to play in a duo and how how you improve some things with this in particular. How many times did you guys look at each other while you were playing?
I'd say not enough.
A few, but
It was a lot at the end, and that was really good. It was really good. But for most of it, you were looking that way. You're looking at there. It's a little bit easier for you because you're looking down like that. So, communicate a little bit more with this. I mean, look, with any. The same applies for any music that you're going to play. That's rubato. Things are going to get fast. They're going to get slower, and you need to actually feel that together. You need to look at each other in order to be able to do that. With this piece, the first 2.5 pages are largo. Okay? You guys did a really beautiful largo for the first 3 bars. and then it sped right up. You kept on playing it really beautifully, but it doesn't need to be that fast. And in fact, the only negative thing that happened there was that when you finished that, you went into the rondo. There was hardly any difference in speed. So that's something that you'll get more comfortable in doing down the track, and especially when you're putting together long programs, which I'm sure you're going to start doing very soon. Long, slow movements are very valuable. They take up big chunks of the program, and audiences love them. Okay, and it makes the fast stuff sound more exciting afterwards. So my first thing I'd love for you to do is to actually play that whole. It's probably going to feel boring to you guys because you have to do a lot more musically, a lot of vibrato, lots of dynamic interest. There's a lot of beautiful phrasing that needs to happen, but that'll be so much more effective. Have you guys talked about this at all, or is it always you have? So was a decision made to play faster at some point?
no.
No? Just happened that way? Have you talked about that moment where it gets fast? Or not?
Really, because there's a switch in who's playing. I guess there's a switch in who's playing the bass and the melody.
Yeah.
So that kind of.
Okay. Can you do it again and ignore everything that I've said? I want to hear it again. I actually want to see what happens and how it happened, okay? Before it was moving a little bit, you're pulling it back. That point right here So that's what, 1, 2, 3, about 7 or 8 bars in this area here. So that line there, see the line? That one's quite important. Try and pull that back, because if you speed that through, your partner in crime is going to join you. He wants to play with you, and all of a sudden you're going to be chasing each other's tails. All right? Is it easy for you guys to pick it up from here maybe? So 2 and 3 and. That's a natural spot where you just go dum, 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 and then all of a sudden, da, 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 da. It's much faster. Okay, so really take your time when you're playing those repetitive chords that aren't as exciting. Try and, celebrate that moment a little bit more. Can you play just the last line? And so it's almost like you have to, if you're feeling like you have to push, if you're feeling like that's normal, tell yourselves that you have to. It's almost like slowing down. So da 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 bum 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 bum, and then you can start again. Okay? Try that. Just the last line. It's easier too, isn't it? Like you can really take your time, put all of your energy into a beautiful, beautiful sound. And it sounds so amazing when you guys are playing, moving lines together at this speed. And when you're trying to be really lyrical, it sounds beautiful. It's really, really effective. And it's easy. Okay, so it takes the pressure off. So, keep that in mind, keep on doing that. And I want to hear the contrast at the end when we go into the rondo from there. But first, I think we need to, can you go from this section here, so it's still nice and slow here, and seeing what happens when we get the triplets happening, okay? So from this section here, 2 and 3 and... It's a little bit faster. One more time, hang on a second. Again, think how much easier it is, okay? 2 and 3. Slower. You feel the difference? At the moment, you're playing the duplets at the same speed as the triplets. Okay, can you do that one more time from the beginning of that section? One more time. I'll play along. Can you guys go from the top of the page one more time? 2 and 3 and... It's a B flat. So E natural, and a B flat. No, yeah, exactly. That's it. Good. Straight from there. 2 and 3 and. Start thinking broadly towards the end of that last 2 or 3 bars. Da, 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 moving. So. Really take your time. And then you go into the rondo, and it's all of a sudden very, very exciting. Okay, rather than being almost the same sort of speed. So can you do that transition? Maybe just from the last line. Slow it down. It is more difficult because you have to, this is the opposite in terms of music to the previous piece, the Moors, that there's nothing in here. It's just the notes. Everything else is up to you guys. Dynamics, tonal variation, phrasing, like when are you going to pull it back, when are you going to push it forward, all of that stuff needs to be talked about and discussed. And mapped out, otherwise, it can sound a little bit boring. And I think there's a good reason why you guys were playing that Largo fast, because it's, it does get a little bit tedious, doesn't it? So it's really important to find interesting things to do in that. And trust that it's really beautiful music, and the audience is going to love it. But the question was how to make it interesting for you guys. So, how do you practice this? Do you guys have your own parts?
We do. Recently we've been practicing it just together.
So you're playing it together, but when you're practicing it individually, you're reading it So what I would do is, I mean, even if it's just a, well, in the beginning, let's think about the Slava. Okay, so whack a metronome on and play with metronome. And then there are a few moments where there are dynamics. There's a forte right here, there's a piano a few bars before. Circle them in your own parts and you know that they're coming up, and make those differences really obvious. Okay? And then once you've done that, and you're playing it slowly, you're following those dynamics, ask yourselves, is it exciting? You know, are we happy with all of this? What else can be done? Like if something feels like a little bit too mundane for too long, what can you do? You know, on the guitar, it's so cool. We can change tone, we can put, you know, crescendos in and decrescendos and change dynamics suddenly. Okay? All of that stuff, it's really good fun coming up with that together, and you can do it. It's up to you. Okay? And you have to do that more in moments like this where you might feel like it's a little bit more boring. You know, as soon as you get into the exciting stuff, things get a little bit easier in terms of the, you know, the dynamics and colours. It's still very important to do that, but it's, you know, not as urgent, especially for you guys right now. Okay, but apart from that, it's sounding great. I can't wait to hear how you guys, you know, continue to develop. Do we have more time, or do we have more time?
Yeah.
No, yeah, we do. I'd love to. I'd love to hear another transition. So from the rondo into the minor section. Okay, that was another one that wasn't. It feels like you guys aren't quite clear with what to do in that. Am I right in thinking that? Is there a plan? What's the sort of, how are you treating that minor section?
It starts, because I start earlier in that section. At the start, I'm leading in the dynamics, and then as Tristan takes like the lead melody bit, he then starts taking into the dynamics.
And is it the same, are you playing it at exactly the same speed as the previous?
I think so.
Oh, do? Okay. Can we have a listen, please, from, actually maybe from here. Does that make sense? From this bit here, up to the double bar? You know what that is? It's the start. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Going into the minor section, yeah. Don't take too much time in between. Okay. You know what I really liked. So this finishes with such a bum bum. There's a lot of really big energy, right? And then when you get to the minor section, I think it says piano, but really make that extreme, and it was so beautiful to hear that really connected. Really lyrical and legato. I think you're starting to do that. You're doing that naturally, but make more of a contrast with that. Can you do the last line? Is that supposed to start? Yeah. Well, wherever it's comfortable. Same thing, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. sorry, if we're doing that, sorry, I'm going to interrupt you. One other thing that's super easy to do in music from this classical period, when you have a phrase that's repeated straight away, don't play it in exactly the same way. So sometimes change the dynamics, sometimes change the tone. So one is warm, and when you're doing the repeat, play it Monticello. And in this bit, that happens in exactly that way. This one, so you go. It's repeated straight away. Okay, do you want to play that second one, Ponticello? Can you do that? So the first one, let's just experiment with it. We won't change the dynamics, but we'll change the tone and see how that feels, okay? From the start of the trio section, but when you get to this phrase, first time normal, second time Ponticello. All right? Straight from there, from those octaves. Okay, so it's actually, so you're coming in early. So it's 1 and 2. Yeah, try it again, one more time. Same thing there, yeah, so 1 and 2. That's it. Okay, and now here, this is one of the few moments where there are some dynamics. That first phrase, piano all the way, and then the second one is loud. Let's try that and make a really big difference. So not a tonal change this time, but a dynamic change. That's it. Play too fast and then have to pull it back again. You're almost at the end. So that's a moment where you can make it as exciting as possible without getting into any dangerous territory. Okay, but be careful doing that in the beginning. Like make sure that it's really contained. But then when you get to it at the end, you can really go for it. You're sort of doing that already, but you can definitely do more. A lot of these things you guys are playing naturally, but you have to start thinking about making those changes a little bit more extreme. Okay, and as a duo, practicing with the metronome is absolutely normal as well. Okay, so as soon as you start playing together, that doesn't mean There's no metronome. It's really, really nice to play with the metronome. Then you don't have to decide who's right and who's wrong. Follow the metronome. Yeah? Amazing. Great to hear,